Sanatana Dharma and the Path of the Mystic. Teachings by Reverend Jagannath Carrera. There are many paths that lead to the peace and joy of the self. From time immemorial, masters have led us by different paths to self-realization, the experience of who we already are. As such, all faith traditions can be seen as having two major elements: the public teachings and the mystic. The public teachings are what we see the average person observing: Mass on Sunday, Friday at synagogue, facing Mecca to pray 5 times a day, following the 10 Commandments, the rituals of Hinduism like homas, pujas, visiting temples and pilgrimage sites, and more. All these, followers of a faith tradition, are expected or encouraged to fulfill. These activities form the external structure of a faith. They are a necessary element in spirituality. The mystic looks to personalize their experience of their faith, to internalize it, to experience the subtle, deeper truths. They seek the roots that are the foundation of the public aspect of their path. It is the mystic aspect of a faith tradition that is of interest to them. This is the level of oneness. On this level, it is not as important to fulfill the public aspects, although a mystic certainly might, but to work on transforming their consciousness, the very foundation and understanding of who they are, what the universe is, and their purpose for being. This is why, when hearing the words of the great saints and sages, they all sound very much alike. Their goals, their struggles, their very experience of life and who they are finally experienced as universal. Of course, the ultimate truth, Sat Chit Ananda, is not able to be expressed, even after directly experiencing it. Some traditions still talk about it. Some don't seem to pay much attention to the goal, but instead focus on the practices and the life changes that bring about realization. Yoga is primarily the path of the mystic. That is why it is naturally universal. The deepest understanding is that yoga is not from India. It is simply a name given by people in India to the mystic path. That is why we can say that St. Francis, for example, was a yogi. We're not being poetic, but expressing a deep truth. All seekers of truth and transformation are yogis. In our lineage, we have adapted some of the traditions derived from Hinduism to define our path. If we dig a little deeper, Hinduism is in fact a label given by Western colonizers to a vast and diverse set of practices observed by the inhabitants of the Indus River Valley. Hinduism as we know it is really Sanatana Dharma, the eternal truth. It is a unique worldview of faith, belief, and spirituality. A path of spirituality that is not opposed to any creed, any prophet, to any incarnation, to any pathway to enlightenment or self-realization. Sanatana Dharma recognizes that each age and each culture will bring forth fresh ways of expressing spiritual truths, different paths of realization, different modes of worship, different rituals, different names and forms, and different ways of relating to the one source. what we call God. Sanatana Dharma recognizes the spark of divinity within each individual and the potential of any being to realize it for themselves. One of the most important principles of Sanatana Dharma is found in the Rig Veda, one of the oldest sacred texts in the world. Truth is one. Paths to its realization are many. The way to experience this truth is not limited to any one faith tradition. There may be many trails capable of leading us to the summit of a mountain, but on reaching the top, we find the same vision. That vision, the experience of oneness of all life, is Sanatana Dharma. It is a vision of understanding the individual's need for freedom in finding the path that suits them best, and for the respectful acceptance of the path taken by others. If you seek enlightenment, you are a follower of Sanatana Dharma, regardless of the specific practices and philosophies that support your search. It is with this vision that we can begin to see something much deeper. We humans are all much more the same than we are different. Our aspirations, especially our wish to find a deep, abiding peace and joy, is the same. The requirements necessary to experience spiritual realization are also essentially the same. Transcend ego and ignorance. The path, regardless of the specific tradition, always includes purity of mind, serving others, following the golden rule, and a radical shift in priorities. This is the heart of yoga, rooted by tradition in India, but ever willing and able to adapt to today's world. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.